Since you guys are here right on time, not that you have to be, of course, but since you are, last week we talked a little bit about some of the people in the group that might want to share some of their challenges, I guess, learning lessons, things like that. And a couple of other people in the group expressed that sometimes they actually learn more from hearing some of our challenges versus hearing about our wins. Um, so I was going to ask folks tonight if you guys are willing to share any of your lessons or challenges. That would be up to you. I have plenty I could share. Hopefully, each person might just take a one and do a quick, you know, explanation or description of something they've gone through on their journey. I think a lot of us are fairly new. We've only been in it since 2021 this time around, and but still, even coming into it, I think knowing a lot more than we did the first time, we've still learned so much. Um, and people also have said that's been their best education, just getting a property and kind of learning as you go. So, um, you know, I've shared I've shared a lot of the stuff that we've been through. Sometimes people are surprised at how much I share, I guess, but I don't know any other way. So, and the other thing, I guess, too, is if folks are willing to share some of their challenges, I don't want the hour and a half just to be, a bunch of negative stuff for other people on the call. So I don't think it would turn into that, but just so you know, that's not what I'm going for. I'm just going for to get some of your thoughts or anybody else on the call on some of the challenges that you face. I think that's important for us to hear and to see how you're getting through it, how you're overcoming the challenges, especially. And in a little bit, like I said, there's a couple of things I was going to share, some things that I'm working on, trying to be better at, um, being an out of state investor, managing property managers, especially. That's a big, big challenge, probably our biggest challenge. So we'll chat about that. Before too many people jump in, do you guys have any thoughts about what I just said, good or bad?
You want us to share all our mistakes?
No, not not, not all our
It'll be a
mistakes.
long
Like,
night.
yeah, we don't want to get back to 3 or 5 hours on the show, but um, yeah, I just mean maybe one thing, and we can do it, um, more often. But I just thought if you guys could think of something that maybe you're going through right now, or something you've gone through recently and have made it through the other side, maybe that that might help someone else too. So, like I said, Lindsay, Cynthia and I have, well, my whole channel is pretty much filled with all the stuff that we're learning, all the mistakes that we made, even going the second time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind was miscalculating the assessment of property taxes
Mm,
for the first property that every state is different, every county is different. In my market, for example, if it's owner occupied, property taxes are assessed based on the 1%. And for rental properties, they're assessed at the 2% rate. of the assessed value, and for commercial properties, they're assessed at 3%. So I initially went on thinking it was going to be the 2%, but I didn't realize that the sale of the property for the first property was going to trigger a reassessment right away.
Uh,
So my property tax bill went up. So it was supposed to be like something like $100 per month in escrow. It went up based on the new assessed value that I purchased that at the 2% of the assessed value to like 140, which, throws off my cash flow. That was like the first off the bat that I learned about because I purchased in August and then my next property bill was due in November. So that's me. And then
that's,
I think in Texas it's like the same, right?
yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe if some of the Texas folks jump in with us, we could ask them. But when you were doing your analysis, did you go to like I'll go to the county wherever we're buying at, and I'll see what the tax rate is. Just say, for example, I think in Illinois it's like 1.2%, and then I calculated that on the purchase price,
Hmm.
and it gave me a fairly accurate um, number.
Yeah. So I think my purchase price was 135 and the previous assessed value of the property was like 90,000 or something.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I had time
Hmm.
for the new reassessment, but no, it kicked in right in that following tax bill, which was like from August to November, it's like 2 months. So I had a shortage on my escrow and I have to go in the rabbit hole of figuring
Hmm.
out what happened. So that's was my first like right off the gate. Oh, you didn't prepare for this. So my number one, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. And two, at the lower price points that because we buy kind of in the same price range as some of your properties, and a $40 really puts a dent in your cash on cash return, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Looks like Mark made it all the way from Japan tonight. Um, Mark, I know you have a lot of things that you could bring to the table tonight. We're talking about some of our lessons learned or some of our mistakes during our journeys. Lindsay just shared one that um, her taxes were different than she estimated when she purchased the property, and it affected um, her cash flow. Does anybody else have one that they'd like to share now?
So one of the things that I noticed, my property's in LLC, so I've noticed that if I call contractors, vendors, plumbers, anybody out to do repairs, if I do it under the LLC, all of a sudden the price goes up by about 10%. So I always end up using my own name rather than the LLC until a relationship is established. Um, so I found that that's kind of a little bit of a trick. And then the other one that was been kind of painful is I didn't fully understand all of the refinancing rules around how much money I could take back out. So we bought the place on our HELOC for cash, and so we got a low price, but not realizing that basically it's almost a year before you can try and refinance back to a certain percentage of the appraised value. So that one kind of hurt in a little higher interest rates.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that with us when we met. So don't you would advise not to get estimates using your LLC, but do it with your personal name first?
Yeah, that's what I found at least.
Yeah, that sounds odd. I was just trying to think, if I was doing an estimate for someone and
So
it
I
was,
remember I'm in short-term rental in a vacation market.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Are you, I'm sort of actually just about to get started with this. And in a similar um situation where I have an LLC, I've been doing it where I've, just saying that I'm the owner and, I'm going through it myself. But are you still, so you'd think you're saying that you'd go in and um, establish the relationship saying, you negotiate the price and whatever it is, and then you say, hey, actually, I'm gonna go through the LLC, or how are you,
Yeah,
what
so
are you,
yeah, so it would be paid through the LLC. So it's like, as soon as you start, uh, I I guess, when communicating, I don't necessarily say that it's a rental off the bat, or that it's in an LLC. I really kind of just project that I'm the owner. I don't necessarily say I'm a tenant, or yeah, I just found that when I give too much information about it being a rental or in an LLC, I've had a couple of quotes come back, 10, 15% higher.
interesting? But you're still paying through the LLC, right? And
I still
so,
pay, yeah, when they give me the invoice, I still cut the check through the LLC.
right, right,
But
right.
I don't let them know until, anything more detailed about the property until after, we've settled on, the estimate.
Are you still signing off in the initial portion under your own, under your own
Yeah.
name? And
So I'll
then
do the
just only when the invoice comes through, you're saying, okay, well, this is actually, through an LLC.
Yeah, I pay. So the invoice will have my name on it. It won't have, and the quote will have my name on it. Won't have the LLC name.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
You just want to be careful because if you do have a claim or if something should happen, if it gives them a loophole to say, well, this is a different owned by a different entity, not you. I mean, I don't know. Versus when you originally got the policy, when we're getting properties, I try to really be upfront, especially with insurance companies. That way, they don't have any way to say, hey,
Oh,
we're not.
no, the insurance side, yeah. No, I'm talking about, we had a water heater go out. We've had issues with heating, um,
Oh, I thought it was for
and
insurance.
painting. Yeah, no, no, this is for actual work around the house.
Oh,
You,
yeah. I don't know
And
that it would matter to those guys. Just a subcontractor.
yeah, he was saying that he feels like he gets higher prices if he says it's
Oh,
for an
if you
LLC
say it's for an
versus.
LLC.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then I would just show up there and act like you're you know, just average schmo homeowner or whatever. I just need a
Yep.
quote to get a water heater put in or whatever it is you're doing. And and then when they get it, just yeah, get the quote from them and say, no problem, can I cut you a check? And at that point,
There you go.
you know the cost. So then you can say, yeah, now I'm going to write it to you from my LLC. They're probably not going to care. It's they're getting paid.
Yeah.
I would think.
No, like I said, it's just the initial, it's the initial quotes on that when going back and forth because the cabin
Yeah,
needed a lot of work when we got it.
I wouldn't tell them. I would just say it's for me.
Yep.
hey Mitesh and Ray, we've just been chatting about some of our challenges. If you have any challenges that you want to share that you've been through, or any lessons you learned recently that might help anyone else, and maybe how you got through it. Hi, Ray.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing,
Good.
Frank?
Good.
Um, yeah, I could share a challenge that I had up in Michigan, if that's helpful.
Of course.
Um, When I was doing my renovation last year, I kind of underestimated how much work was going to need to be done at the property. And it ended up taking twice as long as I expected and going 30 to 40% more than what I was expecting. And and then also the contractor that I was expecting to kind of finish everything for me bailed in the middle of my roof being put on. So definitely, there's definitely issues. Nothing that I wasn't able to get through, but I think it just kind of shows that you have to be resilient. You know what I'm saying? Things aren't always going to go as smoothly. And, I was pretty much damage control. I flew back down, reassembled my team, and just got everything back in order, you know what I'm saying? So I think what I would say as a challenge for me is one, make sure you have the funds set aside to make sure that if there is something that is not gonna go the exactly the way as planned, that you're gonna be able to kind of, still get through your project. And then two, just like maybe increase that timeline. I thought I put in enough of a buffer, but maybe be a little bit more generous on how long you think the project might take, right? Because I was expecting maybe 6 months, and that was like my worst case scenario, and it ended up taking me a year. But good thing that the project was very it wasn't too expensive of a property to maintain monthly, so that was like my saving grace. So. I don't know. Yeah, that was like a huge learning lesson for me, investing out of state. So it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows, but finally getting it up and running was, it's definitely paid off.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of great points there. Reserves being one, and you never know what could happen. I think for us too, having the amount of reserves that we had helped us get all the way through a bunch of stuff. And I think the other part of it, if you want to call this an exercise, the other part of it, seeing how you got through it and that you got through it and that you didn't give up. I know I have felt that little bit of pressure, should I give up on this? I don't know if it was one property or, whatever the situation was. Um, and I've told you guys too, my wife, Cynthia, helped pull me through that. Um, so there have been other people on other calls that are going through something right away, like their first property, they're in it for 6 or 8 months, and they're having to, the water heater broke, or they have to do a roof. They didn't really check the roof out, so they're really, really down and depressed about that situation. Um, and I think I've also kind of talked too about this, starting this channel and stuff, and trying to give everybody, I mean, I'm sure our journey is like worse than a lot of people's journeys. And, if I always joke that I hope they see that we're still at it and that we're finding ways to get through it, not just, this guy's just an idiot. Why is he still investing when, all this stuff's going wrong? So I think that's super valuable. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, Frank. It's like when I feel like every single time I go through a really tough renovation or like a really big project in the investing side, it's never as smooth as I kind of was expecting, right?
Mhm.
But what I can say is once I get through it, like I'm always happy that I did. You know what I mean? And it's like when I talk to a lot of the flippers I shoot for, they're like, I'm never gonna do another one, right? And then they go do another one, right? So it's just you just got it in you. It's just one of those things you're just gonna have to go through to suck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many have you gone through?
Big renovations in the last 3 years. I've done two massive like gut jobs, and it's a lot for me. You know what I'm saying with my business.
yeah, running your business, your full-time business and doing these. Your last one in Michigan, but the other one was there near where you live?
Yeah, this is this house right here.
Uh-huh.
I just like Michigan. This house was close to like we did an upstairs of 2,200 square feet, and it's the one that I'm Airbnb now.
Okay.
Oh, do you rent them out afterwards or?
Yeah, both of the big renovation. This one's a house hack, so it's like I live upstairs and I Airbnb downstairs, and then the other one is Airbnb in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's an out of state one for me.
Oh, okay, you're out of state, so where do you live?
I live in Seattle, like Puyallup specifically. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area.
I see. So did you fly over to Michigan uh multiple times?
Yeah, I think total three before the project was done. Yep, and yeah, that was about how many times I needed to fly down.
Did you do any like before Michigan, were you like focused in Seattle?
Yeah, I have 3 units here in Pierce County. So I've I've invested before, but like doing an out of state rehab, I think it was just really the deal was too amazing to pass up. That's why I did the out of state.
Okay. I'm working on commercial properties in Detroit right now. There's a few that are ready to be rented, and then a few more to be fixed up. It's just going very slow,
Oh yeah. Detroit is a different breed, brother. Mad respect. I don't know if I could hit that market.
especially remotely. That it's a lot tougher.
Yeah.
So are you doing well with your Airbnbs?
Yeah, I was actually talking about that last week. That was kind of the saving grace, right? You do all this work for a year. Thank goodness now I'm seeing the dividends come out. I was telling Frank and the other group last week that I was somewhere around 8K, and we just actually booked another $2,200 booking. So we're now at 10,000 for July, where our expected income. So we're pretty happy about that. That's our biggest month ever. So, yep, pretty much our whole July is filled up.
How much? What was the total investment for that?
Yeah, a renovation was about $100,000 in reno. $40,000 I gave cash to the seller. And then I did this was a subject to deal, by the way. And then 40,000 is a seller finance. So it's like a hybrid deal. But my terms on it are kind of insane. I can share with you. It's essentially 0% interest, zero monthly payments, two balloons. The two balloons, one in 15 years, I will pay him $15,000, and the other balloon is in 30 years, which I'll pay him 25,000. And that's at 0% interest, zero monthly payments.
Wow, 0% for 15 years and 30 years.
He was really motivated to get the 40K, and he knew that he had a lot of equity, but he couldn't really tap in because the house was in such disrepair. So, and he had already a place to live. This was somebody I knew, and he told me his situation. I said it needed to be a win-win for both of us, and he felt that was okay with him.
Well, that's really good. About 10K a month on 200,000. That's excellent.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot
I,
of a lot of you were just talking about the experience and making it through it. Um, and it is a great feeling to get through it, but you're really the next time you do it, it's going to be so much easier. Yeah, that's really nice.
yeah. I don't know. It'd have to be a really another really good deal. You know what I mean? For me to, because that was a headache, right? Like and I'm just thankful it's becoming as fruitful as it is. So, but no, it was definitely a headache. But like I said, every single time I do something crazy like that, I always benefit in so many ways that I don't regret the decision, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you touched a little bit on it last week too, building the team, right? So you found some good contractors to work with, whether it's in Michigan or in your local area. I think that's the biggest stumbling block for a lot of us.
Yep.
Uh,
I can share one of my frustrations right now.
okay. Yeah.
We were looking at properties down along the Gulf Coast, and we actually went down there this last spring, and I've been watching, of course, from afar, and found one that we really liked, and just been kind of tracking it, and there's been price drops on it, and we're like, okay, it's not quite good enough yet, and then right going into Fourth of July weekend, of course, we got all these plans and stuff going on, and been watching it, and it took another big drop for us, and we're like, man, it's like on the verge of we should really jump on this, and of course, we got too many irons in the fire, and next time I check, it's pending.
Oh,
And so my wife and I are just like, oh, it was one that we really like. Part of it was because it's an area we want to be able to vacation there too. And so it was like, okay, this we like this particular spot and this property. And so it's one of those frustrations when it's one you've invested a lot of time in watching it, and you're just, you gotta distance yourself from some of them, because you get, if you can't let yourself get wrapped up in it, but it's still frustrating when you're like, oh, we've been watching this one, it was finally just getting good, where I felt like we could make an offer on it and still come down some more and have some negotiating room, where you could tell they were hungry by the way they were dropping these prices on it.
mhm.
And so now to see it go pending, obviously somebody else saw it was a good deal coming along too, and so it's just, oh, it's frustrating. But
Yeah. Somebody else
so
was watching.
I know, but we've put in backup offers before, and we've picked up off of a backup offer before. So I'm like, should I call my agent and go through and put in a backup on it? I don't know if it's worth it or not. But I feel like now being the backup offer, it's harder to negotiate down,
Hmm.
yes, in that position. So I don't know. We're kind of bummed that we didn't get an offer in on it for first and everything. But that's where we're at. So nothing real horrible, but just frustrations. Those are little things that you kind of go through at times.
Yeah, I think it's probably happened to a few others in the group. But if you went in and your offer was in second position
Hmm.
and your offer, if you got it for your price and it made sense, would you
Hmm.
necessarily, I mean, I know it's always nice if you get it a little bit more off, but wouldn't that be good enough?
It might be. It might be. We'd probably be happy with that.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Especially since you saw where it was when it started, right?
right. Yeah, it's dropped significant just watching it where it was at. But just like a lot of these prices on a lot of these, they were at their wish pricing from a few years ago, was where, and now they're having to drop down to reality. And we're watching these other properties that haven't done that. So you could tell this was a seller that was needing to sell, or who knows what the circumstances. But yeah, it was
Mhm.
just, yeah, that's all. Nothing too
Yeah.
bad,
No,
but still
we're
frustrating.
sorry. Yeah, we're sorry you missed out on it, but thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. We're still looking. We'll find the next one.
Yeah, hey Jesse.
Hey Frank, how's it going?
Going good.
I thought I could share a story.
Yeah, that's
So it's
great.
kind of pretty recent. I've purchased 13 houses with two other partners in Clarksville, Tennessee. This has been about 10 months now since we've had it. And luckily I've been using the same contractor for a few years. in the Tennessee area, and we had a plumbing company come out to inspect some of the sewer lines, and they were claiming that four of the sewer lines were completely blocked. And we had our property manager involved, and they basically sent us back the quote for that work. And I talked to my contractor about it because at least one of the homes we had somebody living in there, and we hadn't heard of any issues with the sewer line. And our contractor went out there. He basically went into that house, flushed the toilet a bunch of times, heard the water running. Then he went into the other sewer lines and ran hoses through and noticed that the hose went all the way through. And then on another line, one of his other folks, they were talking to each other through the line so they could hear that it was clear.
Mhm.
So we had this plumbing company give a fake video showing that there was a blockage of the sewer lines. So we caught that, luckily. And yeah, makes you wonder what work we're being overcharged for as out-of-staters.
Mm, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's shady.
Yeah. Yeah, very disappointing. And it definitely emphasizes the fact that your property managers don't verify what's going on.
Jesse, can I ask a question in regards to that? Like, how did you approach that contractor afterwards, after finding that information?
I have not approached them yet because we just found out, and part of the issue is my contractor has some folks that, may not have papers, and he's worried that ICE will be called on him because over in Tennessee they're getting pulled over. So I will be talking to the property manager next week about what's going on. And I now realize that for anything over a decent threshold, I'm going to have my own people inspected. So
Thanks for
this has literally just happened.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to follow up on that. I'd love to
For
hear what
sure.
you did.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we're one of the big things that we always talk about too, right, when we're buying a property, the one of the most important things to us is the sewer scope, right? And now, I mean, I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know at some level we're getting inflated prices if we're not local,
Mhm.
but this just took it to another level. I mean, this is, outright theft and fraud with what's going on here. And it's very difficult to verify unless you send somebody out again to look at it. Right in this case, I didn't expect, a plumbing company, and they have good reviews because I looked at them online. They have very good reviews online, but they clearly sent a fake video of what's going on.
How did you identify the video as fake?
So I've got a contractor that's actually rehabbing all those units. I've worked with him for a lot of years, and one of them, and I said, and I asked him, I was like, did you notice any issues with the water? Because this company said four of these main sewer lines are backed up. He's like, well, not really. And he was like, these are galvanized steel. He was like, they were knocking them with, metal wrenches and couldn't even move them around. He's like, I doubt anything's got into them. And then he's like, in fact, there's a guy living at 101. He's like, he's never complained about any issues. So that's what kind of let it off. Really, he kind of questioned that
How
this is
did
probably not likely.
how did the fake plumbing contractor get involved? Did somebody call him or?
Yeah, our property manager, that's who they use. That's their go-to plumbing company.
Uh,
So
And so then why was he scoping all of the lines?
Because there was a backup in one of them, and
Okay.
it was a minor backup. So then we just scoped a few of the other ones where we didn't have people in them, and they just made up the fact that they're all blocked when they were not. They didn't know that we had a contractor there that was, still rehabbing our houses,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he went through right and just verified. He's like, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was I I mean, like I said, I know I pay more being out of state, but I didn't expect to be basically lied to like that. So if anything,
yeah.
it tells me that contractor is a keeper. So I've definitely trusted him before, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of proves the value of having a good contractor there.
Yeah, I wonder if you mentioned, the fragility of your contractor getting involved, but I wonder if you could ask another company for a quote or just to scope your pipes. And I imagined, if you brought it up to the fake guy, he could just say, well, they probably had him cleared out, and our videos
Mhm.
was accurate when we took it or something crazy like that. But even though,
I'm
Yeah,
going to be
that's what I was
honestly
gonna say.
more aggressive on that. I'm going to just call it out with the property management company
mhm,
because I know, because I was doing some trying to figure out if this was a mistake. Did the property management company not know? I mean, how would this happen? But apparently they've had other vendors that have sent pictures of work that was done, supposedly that wasn't. It was like, different work in different houses,
mm,
and they knew about it. So they should have known about this, right? They should have at least been verifying something at this level. So I'm, still thinking through exactly how to approach it, but it's also the PM not doing their job, in my opinion.
yeah, it almost seems like they're working in cahoots, the
That's what I
PM,
was gonna say. Are
yeah,
they together?
Yeah.
yeah, making money for each other.
Yep.
Hmm,
Yep.
that's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So the property, as I see the question, is the property manager getting a cut? I've asked that question before. I know others have. They claim that they don't, but I know a lot of them do. So I'm not convinced that they don't get a cut, even though they claim that they don't.
Well, I had a property manager that would take 10% off my bill.
Yeah.
One thing I would definitely highly recommend if it's, I don't know if you have a contractors board in your area, and also really, I'm imagining your agent is part of as a real estate agent because most places you have to be able to be a property manager.
Hmm.
I would definitely check into both of them, see if
Yeah.
they've had any complaints, and if they definitely add a complaint. If this is a valid issue, do the complaint. That's the only way you can make it so it's better.
Okay. That's a good tip. Thanks
At,
for that.
at
I'll do
least
that.
write a letter saying I have
Yeah.
some concerns.
Yeah.
Did they have the actual footage? Did they give you the actual footage where you can
Uh,
see the camera going into
yeah.
that specific clean out or pipe? That way you can see if that, oh yeah, this is in this basement of this property
Yep.
right here. You can see it's going in, or it's not been monkeyed with the footage or something.
Yeah. No, we have the footage. It could be a different property for all we know, right? Because we
Okay.
weren't there when they did the footage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the key is you have to have somebody on site, whether it's somebody else you pay for or whether your property manager needs to be on site for it. There's a lot of big plumbers on new builds that once they're done with their underground plumbing, they actually do a camera of the whole thing. They make the contractor sign the video.
Mm.
Because what happens is all the trades down the road, concrete, drywall, paint, dump all their shit down the drains and cause blockages.
Mm, that makes sense.
So just make sure you're there to know what's going on, or somebody that a good representative, whether it's your agent or not that you trust, or somebody else.
Yeah, I guess I worry about the agent or the property manager because they don't necessarily have the those same skills to understand what's necessarily going on. It might be a deterrent for sure. So I mean, I like that idea. But yeah, I mean, I've got yeah, it's just a concern. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Since you mentioned you like your contractor, maybe he could be around and not say who he is.
yeah,
You know, just say the property owner asked me to meet you guys here and see what you find,
yeah,
something like that. Or if you ever use like a handyman or somebody like that, that it doesn't it
yeah,
you don't really need any special skills to kind of understand what they have to do, right? I mean, they unscrew the lid, they stick their camera down the pipe and measure it out and video it and things like that. So,
right.
yeah.
Yep, no, good tips. Thanks all.
Yeah, it's funny you guys are all talking about this. I had to run a major snake down a 2-inch line, 75 feet to get a clog out.
Ooh,
75 feet of 2 inch.
oh,
Yeah. And I had to crawl underneath it, extend the clean out because they left it 5 feet before the outside.
Yeah, I always try to get the clean outs to the exterior because I know I'm going to be the one that has to go back under there and
Yeah.
try to work with it.
In a typical homeowner job, they put a outdoor sink and then they took out the clean out.
We still have some guys that are going to come in around 7, but Chris and Val and a couple of people that jumped in a little bit later. And Chris, this was kind of your topic. Some of the people are sharing a lesson or two, or an issue they've had recently with the group and how they got through it. I think this is your week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In what way? In what way? Sorry, Frank, I'm not tracking. Help me out here.
We're
Throw me a
sharing,
bone.
we're sharing problems and lessons learned. So
Oh,
if
well,
you, and
oh, well,
we were going to limit it to one. I know you have multiple, I have multiple, but if you got one at the top of your mind that you want to
no,
share.
I continue to suffer from, look, I'm good at some level of conflict management and supplier management, but I'm not as strong as others. And like, I think, you know, the major lesson I learned in the last 7 months is I had a contractor that I knew I trusted. He did good work. He was a little pricey, but you know, his ability to plan, hit deadlines, communicate effectively was always a little dicey. The last couple jobs, didn't really matter. I wasn't under the gun, but I told him in October, I said, guys, if I give you this job, like I need you to give me a budget. I need to know what it's going to cost, and I've got to have this done by February, March because I've got a seller financing and I got to refinance and it needs to be rented and I had a bunch of other stuff going on, so I was cutting checks and being a little too loose with paying them in advance, and they're doing the work, but like this is the last job I'll ever do with them. I mean, just like, and I'm now 5 months behind schedule, and I'm in a major bind. I had to go to my bank to get refinancing without having unit rented, and I mean, there was a time when I thought I was going to have to actually like lose the asset, right? And I've just for a lot of you guys on the phone, you're like, well, Chris, that's because you're a fucking idiot, right? So it's fine. But like, I continue to learn how to manage contractors, and you may trust somebody, you may like somebody, but managing expectations, you know, because I'm usually really good. I'm like, you know, they're like, well, you know, here's our contract. I'm like, I want milestones. I'm not going to prepay you guys in advance for stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm starting to get pulled from Matt's book. You know, I started to buy materials, but too late because I have a better deal than they do. But you know, it's just I think the lesson maybe is look,
when you get busy in your life and you need to trust a contractor to carry your water, maybe things even you would do, like, more detailed management or whatever. Um, without you're gonna you got to be really cognizant when you're pushing contractors into new spaces. Not like types of work, but more just like different levels of management and responsibility. Be really careful there, right? And it's like in my day job, like, hire fast, fire faster. Like I should have called them to account months ago, but I had too much stuff going on. I mean, I've got this other like franchise construction, like the $3 million construction build I'm doing. So like that was a bigger priority than like a $70,000 construction job. But this had the potential to like lose me the asset, which in which case I would have lost 130 grand of down payment. And so anyway, so lesson learned, but I feel like sometimes it's a lesson that I have to keep relearning. So
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And, over the years, and I don't know why, I would say plumbers are the worst. Um, they just, I don't know, for some reason, they just have to seem to have the
yeah,
most issues in their lives and,
yeah,
you know, either start drinking or start doing drugs or get divorced or whatever it is. But,
yeah,
life happens, and
yeah.
even the group has talked before about property managers, right? You finally find one you like and you get dialed in, and then they sell the company, or
That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and the
or
new company's like, Frank,
yeah.
an interesting like an observation and a lesson. Like, when I was hiring and these guys had just done like a $300,000 job for me, right? So like, and it was delayed and long, but like it was in COVID, so I was kind of attributing a lot of it to that. But like, I'm talking, and they're two brothers, right? And I'm talking to the one brother who kind of is the commercial guy, and I'm saying, okay, guys, like it's October, I need this done by February, March, and he's shaking his head, yep. And I could see his brother in the background looking at his brother like with a look of like, are you crazy? Like either we can't do it, or we've got too much other stuff on our plate. Like we can't sign up for that. That should have been my tell. I kind of saw it, but I kind of like downplayed it. But um, yeah, but that's the observation. But the thing I'm actually not sure about, and this group may be able to opine on it, is so these guys are the GC. They pulled the permits, worked with the architect. Like if you try and switch out a GC like midstream, so let's just say for sake of argument, I got rough electrical, rough plumbing. We just got insulation windows and drywall. I, I'm I want to pull the plug of these guys like now, and then I'll have my handyman like do flooring, finishing carpentry, cabinets, kitchen, bathroom finishing, toilets, that kind of stuff. But like I I don't know what that means. Like when it comes time for final inspection, like at what point can you switch out a GC where the overall permit is in his or her name? Like, I don't understand that dynamic to know like what's the art of the possible, what's easy, what's hard. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of variation by township and state, but I'd be curious to get this esteemed group's perspective on, at what point changing a GC, like what works, what doesn't, what's possible, what's not. Where's the best if you have to swap it? What's the best point to do that? I'd love to get this group's perspective on that if you're open to it, Frank.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with that. And I don't know if Jim had talked about it before, but my first step would probably be going to the planning department or the building department and asking them that question.
That's what I was going to say. Building department is where I'd start. Just say,
Uh,
hey, these guys need to go. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
yeah, because we'll just say, I know this is all residential and light commercial, but on public works jobs, it's so the general contractor is responsible for making sure all of the subs have their licenses and everything in
Yeah.
place. And yeah, and so if the first contractor that you're leaving did all that, who's to say the subs want to work with the new guy,
Yeah.
also.
Although I don't need any more subs. I don't need the GC. I think, yeah, it's a good question. I think, look, this is a dinky little 70 to 90K duplex renovation, right? I'm more worried about like, when it comes time for final plumbing, but which or you know, and final electrical, and I'm not even sure. Yeah, and final inspection, like you know, certificate of occupancy. Like, if what happens if I took that over, right? And the township shows up, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, like you know, I'm the owner, right? And they're like, well, where's the GC? Like, I'm like, well, yeah, they kind of suck, so I should can them. Right? Like, I don't know if that's gonna be an issue or not. Like, I just don't know. So anyway, food for thought. That's what I'm trying to figure out now.
Yeah, well, you might want to check with those departments before the next project starts.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anybody else have a lesson or issue they wanted to share? I think Chester and Jason will probably be here in a little bit. So before they come, I was going to say that some of you might have heard me on Dion's live talking about my current mission, and that's to contact all of my property managers and understand the process from getting late rent all the way through the eviction process, because it seems to take forever. So I did get a hold of one of our PMs today, and you guys know we have like 5 property managers across different states, but this one was telling me the process. So we know the rent's due on the 1st. It's typically late on after the 5th. And this property manager, if the rent is not in by the 5th, the tenant gets the late fee or is charged a late fee. And then on the 8th, the property management company will post a notice, which was, I believe he called it like an intent or possible eviction notice if the rent was not paid. And then this property manager, they deposit funds to the owners on the 25th of the month. So theoretically, the tenant has until the 25th to get the rent in. So they would get the rent in and pay the late fee. And then if they don't get it in by the 25th, then there's another employee on the property management team that contacts us, and she has contacted us to let us know that the tenant didn't pay the rent by the 25th. And then we have the option to start the eviction process. And so I think that helps a lot. I guess my message here is that we need to be proactive, because I know I have not been in the past, and it stretches things out so far. For example, I didn't know about a few of these things with this property manager, so I would just be home waiting for them to call me and let me know there was an issue. I know we checked for the rents. I usually wait till the 5th or the 6th and check to see if all the rent came in for whatever property. And if it didn't, well, if it doesn't, now I'll be on it so that by the 8th, if I will find out if they posted the notice, make sure that happens to keep the process moving. And then if it's not paid by the 25th, I mean, you can decide whether or not you're going to move forward with the eviction. I think that's what a lot of tenants are counting on. So I will be pursuing the eviction. And so you guys have heard me talk about the gun lady, right? A lot of stuff got, I don't know, swept under the rug, or just missed by me. And a lot of times, like, you don't want to have these conversations, right? It's just something you just don't want to do. But we need to. We need to make sure we're on top of the situation. And it's not just necessarily with the eviction thing. Like Dion says, you know, we have a heart. If somebody's wife died or something and they're going through something horrific, you want to be kind about those kinds of things. But even, for example, in St. Louis, when we had those properties that we purchased and I needed to get all the utilities put in my name since we didn't have tenants and I was responsible for the utilities. I didn't want to call all those utility companies, you know, and set up utilities for 3 properties. In my head, it was just a big pain in the butt. But when I actually sat down to do it, it took maybe 10 minutes per company and it was all set. And if I hadn't done that, then the process would have gotten a lot harder. And, you know, about procrastination and things like that. So I think if you're managing property managers, your properties are out of state, I'm going to try to learn as much as I can about all of the processes that, like this one, to help the business run more smoothly and save time. Because, like I said, that gun lady, the process for her was she went to court, the judge made his decision. She was supposed to be out by the end of June, and she wasn't. So then the property manager has to contact the sheriff to post a notice, which is going to take a couple of days. After they post the notice, it's a 48-hour notice for the tenant. So she has 2 more days to sit around and do nothing. The property manager that we hired recently has driven by the property. She says there's no signs of anybody moving out. So then on Monday, they will take the sheriff there to get her out. So if we weren't keeping track of, you know, when the sheriff was going to go post the notice and nobody did it, then it just extends and delays the process and we're out even more money. So that was one thing I wanted to share with you guys this evening, is just to try to be proactive, because our experience with property managers, even though I think we have pretty good ones, things will slip through the cracks and it will just cost you time and money in the long run. So that's my soapbox.
Does anybody else do like Dion does and right after the grace period immediately post eviction notice?
That's what I was getting at, and that's why I was wondering about the process. Did somebody have something to say?
I'm just wondering, as a group, if anybody in chat or if they want to say anything, does anybody else do that?
I will be doing it from now on.
I will, absolutely. And I'll probably start out with that eviction shield from Hemlane, just because. Just for the first couple months while I'm figuring everything out.
Yeah, I think that's good, and we would expect it to, like Dion does. His notice is there on the 6th, right?
Right.
But these guys, I don't know why it takes 2 days, but it's 2 days after the 5th that they post the notice.
Oh, ask Val about that. I'm pretty sure he's on here.
Yeah. I'm on here.
Hi, Val.
Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, I'm here.
He's like, don't rub salt in the old wound.
Oh no, it's a part of it for sure. But no, I think though, you know what y'all are saying though. Yeah, it definitely set the tone. You know, it sets the tone, because I feel like, you know, now listen to that last story with the with the guy doing the sewer scopes, and it's just like, man, it's like, is everybody just kind of out to get you? You know, some way, somehow. You know, you trusting people to do a job, and it's like, man, we're gonna, try to shaft people as much as we can. But regardless, you getting that eviction out there first thing, that definitely sets the tone and let people know, like, hey, these cats are not playing with me. They're gonna put me out on my ass if I don't, pay. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good practice for sure.
Yeah, and to follow through on it, right? Because I think a lot of the tenants will be just playing the game, right? They think, oh, they're not gonna evict me. I'll just tell them I'll pay by the next second or third or whatever it is. But I'm to the point now in my conversation with the next guy at this same company, because they have, one guy posts the notices, one guy does the evictions, and so on and so on. So I'm going to talk to the next person and let them know I don't want to do any deals. If the tenant hasn't paid by the 25th, then they're done, right? Because some other people in the group has said that their property manager, if they talk to the tenant and just say the tenant gives them a story and said, oh man, I will pay by the 10th of the following month or whatever, and the PM makes a deal with them and the PM's expecting the rent on the 10th. I don't want to be in that position anymore. So, I mean,
I wanted to ask really quick about that specifically. Do the agreements, and maybe I'll have to go back and look a little bit closer, but do those agreements give the PMs that level of carte blanche power to be able to do what they think is, appropriate, or what they quote unquote deem is in the owner's best interest? Because them doing this, and then I think the where the boldness comes from is presumably in the agreement that it also, what's a good way to put it? Like, think of like a middleman who they can basically take risks with somebody else's money and then not be held accountable or liable if they make any mistakes. Because that's what this sounds like. It's like they basically are in a position of, like, second position, so to speak, in terms of, like, ultimate power or authority over the tenant. They can do just about everything that the owner can do, but, well, I guess in terms of like a final say. So it basically seems like the PM's word is about as good as the owner's word.
yeah,
And then it kind of, like, to keep the owners off their back, they're making or giving the sense that, hey, yeah, no, we've got everything under control. Don't worry about it. We've got it. That's that's the sense that I get. It's like they're basically, what's a good way to put it? Like, we're paying them to take this burden off of our plate, but that's why, like I said, and excuse me, why with Hemlane, it seems like we're getting that power back even remotely. So that's why, even like with Jim mentioning a little bit ago about the eviction shield, looking at all the different options. These are things that we traditionally would have trusted, or we are right now traditionally trusting to these PMs. And again, it's not to say that all of them are terrible, but Hemlane clearly exists for a reason. So that's why I just, again, more just kind of thinking out loud here, because it's like, unless you really do hit on a good, solid PM, most of them seem like a waste of time, at least in my opinion.
yeah, I don't think, I think, and the reason I'm doing this is because I need to get with the PM and let them know what I want done, right? And at the same time, they're going to educate me on how things work, say legally, in the county or wherever we're at. But I want them to know I'm not messing around with the tenants anymore. If I want to know your process, so I can check in after the, say, so for me, I'll check in on the 8th, make sure that notice went out. And then I'll be watching the rents, and the day after the 25th, which is their last day to do it, then I'll be checking in with the PM and making sure that the eviction notice was sent.
A quick question as a follow-up.
Yeah.
In terms of a PM who's, let's say, dragging their feet or not trying to get in touch with you, would you, thinking along the lines of Matt's phrase, hire fast, fire faster, do you give them 1 month? Do you give them,
Well,
let me rephrase that. Do you give them that 1 month where the rent should have come in, basically meaning almost zero tolerance? Or do you say, okay, if this first month I didn't see it by the 25th, I'm going to be watching like a hawk on the 1st, on the 7th. And then if I still don't see anything at that point, then it'll be time to give notice to that PM and basically have another one sort of lined up already? Like, how would that look if they're just not doing what you expect?
yeah, no, I mean, we can only do as we learn, right? So a lot of the stuff we didn't know in the beginning, but I'll just keep going back to this PM because I'm starting to learn the process there. So if, just say, in August, this scenario happened, the rent didn't come in by the 5th, I made sure they posted the notice on the 8th, the rent didn't come in by the 25th, I'll make sure they posted the eviction on the 26th, and then that tenant is done. If any of those steps the property manager missed, then I would consider getting rid of them the next month. I'm not going to wait another month for this whole thing to carry out again, right? So if you think it might happen, then you should start preparing yourself and getting other candidates in line to be the replacement.
Yep.
So-
Go ahead.
Well, I might have a naive question because I don't have a property under PM right now, but is there a way that when you're creating the contract with the PM that you have some performance metrics? You know, I mean, you know, obviously you probably have something around evictions, but if they don't perform, because they're acting as your fiduciary person, right? So if they're not doing what is laid out in the contracts, there should be some obligation back to you, but I'm not exactly sure if that's something that can be done in this circumstance.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think part of the reason I brought it up, and again, it's not just, doesn't just have to do with late rents and evictions, it's any process. So if now that you're hearing this, if you ever do hire a property manager, you might want to bring this stuff up, right? They'll send you a copy of the agreement, and if you want to read through the whole thing, you can, and I'm sure that would raise some questions. I think a lot of them, when you hire them, you have like 30 or 60 days. If you're not happy right away, they won't charge you the termination fee or whatever it's called. But if you're with them for 6 or 7 or 8 months and you decide you want to leave before the year's up, then they probably will try to get that fee from you. Um, but I guess I'm hoping that, as we talk about this going on in the next several months or whatever, that we can touch on different topics and for us, it's property management, right? Paul, you said you don't have one yet, but I guess going back to Chester's question, we need to make the PM aware of how we think things should be run. And if the PM has legal reasons or whatever it might be that they don't run like we think they should. For example, if I said, hey, the rent's not in by the 6th, why didn't you post an eviction? And then they would explain the process to me, right? So they have basically until the 25th, because we don't deposit your money in your account until the 25th. If they pay your rent and the late fee by the 25th, then technically they're okay. So they would explain their side of it to me. And if we disagree, then we can move in whatever direction from there. But Chester, if we don't tell them what we think, and this is all new to me too. I hope I don't sound like some professional here, but because we're learning it too as we go along, but at least having a conversation. And it sounds like you've been having some frustrations even getting a hold of the people. I'll do all kinds of different things. So in our property management group in Gary, this is the one I'm talking about. They have like 10 different people, an email list for 10 different people that handle different things. And if I can't get a hold of someone fairly soon, then I'll send an email and I'll put all of their names on it, including the owner. And I'll just keep doing that and somebody will respond. And then at least you can have a conversation. I think I'm going to end up having a conversation with the owner there, because when we first went on board with them, she was super helpful. We had a couple of meetings. She explained a lot of the processes to me. And then a few months later, we did the same thing. But now I'm not feeling that same kind of customer service, I guess. So if I can't resolve my issues through her people, then I will be going to her again and asking her what's up. Did you guys grow too fast, or you don't like me anymore, or whatever it is? Just give me a reason why your customer service is not what it was.
The thing that I suspect is keep calling it just straight salesmanship to be like, hey, we can manage your property, the pitch, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Just to do whatever is necessary to get you to sign on the dotted line. Because if that's the case from what it's sounding like, not necessarily every single PM nationwide, but a decent majority of them, it really sounds more like they are. I can't think of a really good parallel or analogy, but basically they know they're in a unique position where they have an advantage of sorts over both the tenant and over the landlord. It's not their property per se, but they exercise a ridiculous amount of power as though they were.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they will until you let them know how you want things run. And to your point, I would say 90% or more of the time, the person you speak to hire the property management company is not the person that's going to manage your property. So they are a salesman, right? And they have they say all the right things. And I don't mean to sound too negative about it, but that's been the reality for us. So for example, the first PM we fired, the woman that I spoke to, I was all jazzed about her. She said all the right things, and then when I called her back to ask her questions, I realized she's not the property manager. She's like the head of the department, but some other person was going to be managing for us.
She's in sales.
Yeah, yeah, she's in sales.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As the guys at Lockheed told me, there's selling and there's executing. Two totally different teams, right?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So if you can, Chester, well, it sounds like you're having some challenges with yours too. I would hope that you could get a hold of them and have a conversation. And I was going to mention to you the other night that I'm not sure if you're aware that Allie started another group online. And I was talking to her about that, and she mentioned you. So she was just wondering how you're doing. And I just want to remind you that she's there to talk about these things, and it would be good for her to know what you're going through too, if you don't mind sharing that with her, because maybe she can help.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that did remind me that she, while not going into looking for PM, still kind of more focusing on turnkey, did mention that the turnkey company that sold the property to me is opening up their own PM, their own in-house PM division or unit.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, now I definitely did, in working with Al, he definitely has been a straight shooter and, again, did get a little bit of the, sort of not to the same extent that as I got from the actual PM company, but a tiny bit of the salesy vibe. But like, again, I, knowing now what I know about business, if you don't market your business, you don't have business. So
Mm-hmm.
I get that part of it. But he definitely, sat down with me and, every question that I had, like, he was like, hey, here's the deal with this. Here's what's happening, this unique to the Detroit market. Here's why these things are set up like this. And if there's any concept. So he took his time basically. Whereas, again, more just kind of being sold to, truth be told, sort of half-assed, really, if in my opinion, with I don't know if we should tell has anybody like put the names of the property management companies? Because I almost said their name and I didn't want to just negatively blast them
Rat
just for
them
no
out.
good. Yeah.
Whose name?
The name of the PM company
For where?
that I'm working with. Like, I don't know, like, I know we've just said like the PM company in Gary or the PM company in St. Louis or the PM company in Detroit, but we never like actually said their name. And I didn't want to like slip up and be like, yeah, and so, da, da, da. Like, yeah, I didn't want to go on a tirade.
Yeah,
basically.
I don't know if there's an issue with that. The one that I've been talking about is OPS, and Gary, it's One Property Solution, and that's it's not owned by the turnkey provider, but they work very closely together. It's all one big family. So they've been okay, but again, it's been my fault, my responsibility to find out how things are supposed to be done and to share with them how I want things to be done. I think
Interestingly, I apologize for cutting you off.
that's okay.
Did you or do you? Yeah, no, that's right. You weren't at the ORAT. Yeah, I believe Cynthia had to have surgery, I think, during the time of the ORAT. Yeah, that's right. Because Angelo, who is the basically, I guess, sort of like PM for Millennial Mike's, like a lot of his properties, it's a state squared away, and he, I mean, of course, he's always looking for like new clients and whatnot, and he's very knowledgeable because he has been aggressively trying to sell me on Gary. There are some pretty decent deals, I will admit, that he's brought to me. I told him I'm focusing more so right now on Detroit first. When I at least build a portfolio to, sort of, to get to 4 first, then start to kind of branch out before really kind of, hopscotch, so to speak.
Mhm.
But have you, do you have Angelo's info for State Squared Away?
I do. I've spoken to him as an agent. He hadn't started the PM side yet. I did talk to Esther the other day, and she's with Vicky, and she likes Vicky, and she has met Cheryl, the owner of OPS. She likes her too. And because OPS has a bigger team, so what she had mentioned about Vicky was that she was a little old school, and she had to keep checking in with her to remind her about conversations they had and goals they were trying to meet. So, but I don't know about Angelo, because that's different, right? Vicky's different from Angelo's PM side.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, Wayne, if you ever want to chat about our experience with OPS, well, I guess you guys are going that way now, but I've been happy with them. Like I said, the owner was very helpful. But I haven't been able to have a conversation with her for a while. And so I was just wondering what's going on. But hopefully you'll have good luck with them as well. Wayne, while you're on, do you have any lessons or challenges you wanted to share? Before you do, Jason, Cody, and Brett, we're talking about some of the challenges we've had in recent months or years and sharing them with the group. If you guys have any you want to share, that'd be great. Sorry, Wayne.
No, I don't have anything new. You guys already shared everything. Sorry.
That you've been through.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess it's good to know we're not the only ones. How about you guys? Brett, it's been a while since you've been with us. Are you working?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to see
No,
you.
I'm off today. Yeah, I been MIA, been super busy with stuff and work and whatever. But yeah, no, going through my first eviction with a tenant. So that's going, but it doesn't seem to be too crazy. Although I missed the court date, so that prolonged it. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah. And are you self-managing?
Yep. Yeah. So he got behind. We did all the paperwork and everything. It's just a bunch of hoops you gotta jump through, and it's stupid. But yeah, I just mad because I swear the lady told me a date and I wrote it down and put it in my calendar and never looked at the paperwork. So that was a very big error on my fault. But I got the case reopened and have court like next week already, so that's pretty good. So it's a one we just really redid. So last I was in it, it doesn't seem like it'll need too much. So, but I got some other properties. I had a tenant move out, and I was happy she moved out, just not the timing. I don't like to do anything during the summer. So, but yeah, I got some other stuff in the works. So it's just been pretty busy lately. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, and we were talking about the first time you do something, right? So hopefully you won't have too many evictions to go through, but now that you know the process, it should be much easier the next time around.
yeah, yep. yeah, and definitely learn to double check paperwork and yeah, make sure. So
Yeah, at least we have our property managers to blame.
yeah. Yeah, that one. Well, technically, I'm like the property manager on that one because I have a partner on that one. So
Oh,
I had to call him and be like, dude, I screwed up. But like, it's crazy because the day I filed it, I sent him a text like, okay, I have court this day, and everything was the day I texted him like for the wrong day. So it's just
oh,
like I don't know. So I'll take it as a loss and my fault and learn from it. So,
yeah, right on. It was great to
but
see you. Thanks for sharing that.
yeah, it's nice seeing you guys too.
How about you other troublemakers? Cody, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Do you have any learning lessons for us?
I feel like a lot of my stuff kind of feels like traditional stuff that happened, right? So I have 2 vacancies coming this month that we just got to do a turnover. We had someone that wasn't really paying that much, so we ended up having her be done in end of, I think, May, and then we're selling that property. Um, what else? I think we had a couple things with maintenance that the PM didn't tell us until later, and then we found out after the fact. But I feel like, yeah, nothing. I feel like major going on. So I feel like that's my bad news. Or it's going well.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, you were listening to us, I think, talk about letting the property manager know how we expect things to run.
Yep.
Chester is having issues with that, and then we just find out, right? Because what we think might not be possible for some reason, some weird law in your state or your county or whatever it might be.
Yep.
But at least if they know and they give you feedback, then for next time, which will be helpful. And also just to stay on it, be proactive and don't be afraid to get hold of these people and have conversations and things.
Yeah, I had to fire my first property manager because things didn't get done on time. They, were told me that it was supposed to be done at a certain time, but then never were started. There was extra expenses on my account that wasn't for any of my properties. So like things like that, you just gotta be aware of and stay on top of. So I've had that happen to me, but I feel like the 2 property managers right now are decent. I think having a third party manager, part of it is just, and this even sucks to even say this, but you got to be okay with some of the lag time or not done 100% to your expectation, or communication is not 100% the best. Like I've kind of like realized that over this last couple of years. But I hope to keep getting better and maybe find new ones in the future. But at this point, they're both pretty good. They get everything done pretty fast for the tenants. So I like them, but I, still not up to like 100% of like what I would want to do. Like if you were doing it self-managing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you were, I think, in a good spot, and I like the way you did it, where you weren't sure if you wanted to fire one property manager, but you were willing to give some properties to the other side to see if one was worse than the other.
Yep.
At more things. So in doing that, what did you find?
There was a pretty significant difference, I felt like, and the communication has been way better with the new one versus the old one. You just get expense after expense that pops up into your feed, and it's just like, what is this even for? And there was no communication or email or anything sent on, like, what's this $200 bill that pops up? And so a lot of times I just, is this a real thing? I thought about it, and then I've been with this new property manager, and I've had a lot less of those instances happen. So, you know, it just got to find the right, the right person for the job. But I think it was for the better, and still it's not like 100% knowing what's all going on as like a self manager would. But I think at this point I just got to be okay with that part of it.
Yeah, I think that's my next, after I get through all the property managers and figure out the late rent and eviction stuff, my next one will be just that, the communication about maintenance and repairs, because one of ours is really good. Every time the tenant submits a maintenance request or repair request, I get a text message. And even though a few of our PMs use Appfolio, apparently it's a choice, right? The PM makes the choice to give us those notifications, and I think it's more work for them. That's why a couple of them don't do it, but I'm going to do my best to see if they'll all get on board.
Yeah, I think communication is my biggest thing. Is like I would way rather prefer someone tell me about a $500 expense than me to find out about it 2 weeks later when I'm looking at Appfolio, right? Like, like tell me what's going on. Tell me like what happened. What was the decision that was made? If you have something that's an emergency, like, oh, my AC went out, or oh, my furnace went out, or something like that, and they have to do it right away. Like, of course, I have no issues with that. Yeah. But the next day, just send me a text or email, say, hey, this happened. So like that happened recently with my PM, and they didn't tell me about it. And I'm like, why do I have a, $700 expense for a new refrigerator? And they just said, oh, it's an emergency. I'm like, sure, but can I just get a little bit more information? Just send me, I just want to know about it. Like, that's just how I view it. It's not that it happened. It's just, I just want to know. And so I can like budget for the next month if I'm going to expect a lot less coming from them, just to be ready for it and not having to look for it myself. I feel like that's just my biggest thing from property managers at this point.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, you and I, about you check your rents, right, and you're expecting 1,000 and you get 600 instead, and that's when you find out that you had a repair that you didn't know about. That's the thing that bugs me.
Yep, totally agree. It's just I just want to know that it happened. That's all I care about. Right? Like I know things pop up. I know there's things that need to be fixed, but at the same time, I just want to know. And I think if property managers led with that, I think it would be a much better experience.
Seems like there's a theme building here on our complaint session. Is like it's all about property managers. I didn't mean for it to turn into that. Charles, you haven't had a chance yet. Do you have any lessons or wisdom to share with us?
Don't use property management.
No, it doesn't have to be about property management.
I think the frustrations happen with or without property management. It's people are always doing things that you don't expect. Preserving a relationship that's good with good communication is valuable. Setting clear expectations. I think I'd rather be a jerk on the way in than a jerk later. I'd rather be real firm.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that can kind of go to Chester with what you were talking about. I don't think the property managers really have as much what did you call it? They shouldn't have as much control maybe as you think they do. But again, once you get a hold of them and get it set straight how you think things should be run or how you want them run, then it might be a lot easier in the future. So hopefully
I think that control feeling is because you're at the end of the tail. You don't see it coming, the communications cause problems.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
and to be quite honest, if you have a problem, um, pick a fight. See what happens.
Maybe
If
that's what it'll take.
I would rather have an opportunity to change on something small than on something big.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like goes back to the contracting world. If you're going to have a problem with somebody, it's a whole lot better day 2 than day 20.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Everybody's got a lot more skin in the game at day 20, and there's a lot more frustrations.
Yeah, you're right. In the contracting world, I mean, you're plugging away, you're working every day thinking everything's great, but these little nitpicky things are bugging the client until they explode, right? When we fired the second PM there in Milwaukee, it was all about communication and for me. And when I told her we were switching, she's like, why are you switching? I thought we had such a great thing going. And it's like, I don't know what relationship you were in, but it wasn't the same one I was in. So yeah, you're right. Gotta let them know.
But I'm in my backyard.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
That could be nice. Who else is with us? Jason, are you there?
Who's trouble?
Mark.
Chester.
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Jason.
I'm in the middle of packing, but I'm listening to everything.
Okay. Well,
my biggest thing was like I brought it up the other day. I think it's mostly a Section 8 issue. Is the tenant saying they're going to move out? I got the moving papers, but I never get like a firm date. I do get a firm date, but it constantly changes because their next property they're moving to isn't ready. Like the ones that didn't pass inspection. So it's hard to, market and then have a move-in date for my new tenant. And I actually attended a Section 8 seminar the other day for my area, and they completely dodged my question about what I'm supposed to do about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Which
it was
I know
disappointing.
you had asked that with Dion and Dana, and I forget what she said. Did she have a recommendation?
Just work with them the best you can. Make sure that the apartment's clean and ready to go. And if if you need someone to show it, they can help them do that, which is a good idea, but it doesn't help the date. But it is what it is. My other issue is I keep thinking that my roofer might have been deported because I can't get a hold of him. I did get a hold of him today though, and he said, "No, I'm still out of town, but I'm definitely going to do it." I'm like, "Are you sure? Because I'm leaving and I need it done in August." Yeah, I'll 100%. I'm like, okay.
Oh, good deal.
So yeah, I hope to God he's telling the truth because he's way cheap. He does great work and he's way cheaper than everybody else I had look at it. I just got to get him to actually do it.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yes.
Well, yeah, at least you got a hold of them. I know, in weeks past we talked about always thinking the worst, right?
Yes.
No matter what the situation, we always think the worst.
Yes, that is. I'm very good at that.
All right, thank you, and have a safe trip too. By the way.
Yes, thank you.
Let's see who else is here. Oh, Flavio.
Hey Frank.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
What was the topic?
Glad you're here. A few people were just sharing some of the, I don't know, maybe problems or lessons learned or things to watch out for in their journeys. Anything that helped you keep moving forward?
No, but always same thing. But right now I'm dealing with a tenant that he always behind on rent, and he always pay rent by the 15th, 20th, and the rent due is the second. So always I have that problem with that tenant. So I want to evict him, but right now I'm in the process to refinance the house. So I don't want to evict him because I'm gonna need the income
Sure, the
to show. Yeah. So yeah, I'm dealing with that right now.
And does he pay a late fee every month?
Yeah, he pays a late fee, but I rather get the every second because he only pays $50 a month as a late fee. But it bothers me a lot.
Yeah. No, if it bothers you, yeah, it's probably worth doing. And did Dion was saying something about the late fee now being only $20 a month or something
Yeah,
in
yeah, but
Washington?
yeah, but I I had this contract for 2 years, so I don't know if you have to fix that to $20 per month. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, as soon I'm done with the refinancing, probably I'm gonna evict him.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely want to make sure that you check those laws. That way you don't get in trouble.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of going on here in Washington, so I have to redone all my contracts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You got to redo all your leases.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
because all my tenants there for 3 or plus years.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us.
I'd like to offer when was it? I know it was within the past couple of weeks, the last interest rate meeting with the Federal Reserve. I think this is something Zuber had mentioned in one of the daily financial news, the regular daily financial news updates. Zero interest rate policy is now a non-zero or has a non-zero chance. Basically meaning I want to say it was right around like let's call it '08 to 21. So like right after the great financial crisis when the Federal Reserve lowered rates to zero, where we started seeing those 2% or 3% mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they're opening the door to say, I don't know necessarily if something as scary as the global financial crisis is coming, but the fact that they're opening that door kind of does give pause. Now, of course, on the flip side, excuse me, everybody who's holding assets at, these 6, 7, 7.5, whatever interest rates can then have an opportunity to refi into these what we thought were going to be once in a lifetime, 2% or 3% interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, especially knowing how Zuber felt and feels really present tense about the haves and the have-nots, for this as an opportunity, how bad must things get to, or I should say, for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates back down to 0%? And here's the thinking behind that. We've been seeing and hearing a lot about layoffs in little trickles and, a few thousand here, a few thousand there. And I'm not saying that as like to take it lightly, but I mean, in terms of like, especially with larger corporations, like a recent one with Microsoft that did 9,000, we're talking a small percentage of their total headcount or workforce. What Eric had mentioned a while back when he and Zuber were on the panel, even though it was more housing focused, one of the things that I'd remembered was about how we're seeing the cyclical economy starting to turn over. And he said it hasn't quite reached the tipping point, but it's getting closer and closer. And we're seeing that reflective in like UPS, in FedEx, in Microsoft, in Amazon. So we're seeing those cracks really starting to emerge where we're seeing more and more. I think what Microsoft was on its 6th round of layoffs or something insane. And basically all signs are pointing to something big coming, maybe not necessarily as dramatic as, the COVID-19 type of recession, but something is just like deteriorating, and it's just like nobody can like either wants to acknowledge it or is hoping, hey, we're going to be able to dig our way out of it or something. So I know I laid a lot on for everybody to kind of digest. The two main questions I have from all of that. One, how bad would things have to actually get for us to see those, again, 2 and 3 and 4% mortgages? And then two, knowing that it would be insane for us to not refinance, we would basically be the beneficiaries of this. And so more from that sort of like, philosophical or high level standpoint, we're going to be the ones to sort of, stand to gain from this. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. And like, I don't, like, I guess the best way to put it is like, it sucks to not be an asset owner because you know that assets hold their value against inflation. So like, how does everybody like feel about that? Like knowing like, hey, yes, we are doing, and we, of course, dealing with the, insanity with the PMs and the tenants, toilets and termites and, the traditional classic spiel. But broadly, how does that like, I mean, I know we sacrifice a lot for it, but it's like we're going to be on a completely different level after this is all said and done with.
That's like the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Tell the people you care about. If they follow through, they follow through. If they don't, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know what would have to happen for rates to fall like they did back then, but I think it will, well, for us, it will erase a lot of pain, right? If we're able to, because we probably have 4 loans that we would refi, even if they got down into the 5s, low 5s, and that would help create greater cash flow. But it would hurt a lot of people, I'm sure, outside of the, real estate
Yeah, I think
community.
Yeah, I think once we get into the fives, that'll change the game for real estate quite a bit. Like people are pretty negative on it right now, but I bet you as soon as we see a five, it's gonna turn around very quickly. I think it's just a matter of time. But until unemployment breaks, I just don't see rates really going down much because everything keeps taking along. Stock market keeps going up, unemployment's still staying down, people are still spending money. Until that changes, they're not going to really touch the rates too much.
Yeah. Do you think things will change once the new
The big beautiful bill. I was just thinking of that.
no, not that, but the new Fed chair. Once what's his name's out and the
Oh
new guy's in.
yeah.
Oh yeah, potentially. Like yeah, if someone else is in there with a different mindset and wants to put his own impact out there, potentially. So I mean, we got 6 to 9 months, I think, because what is it, like March or something he's done, or May or something like that.
Yeah.
So once that comes, yeah, I think things could change a little bit because you have someone that's probably a little different person. Where Powell, he's only got 6 months left. He's gonna probably stay there. So
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Unless something actually breaks, like unless unemployment goes to 5% or 5.5% or something like that. Until then, I don't think anything's happening until next year.
Now this new guy that's supposed to be coming in, isn't he somewhere down the line family?
Is he?
Yeah. Yep. Might want to check.
Hmm,
I think he's a son-in-law, daughter-in-law. He's part of somebody's family. He's going to be part of the family. So I think what what folks may be thinking, but you might want to check that. So that still may be a I still got you in my pocket kind of deal.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was thinking.
Just be mindful.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, because I heard somewhere that the new person going in would probably be more, yeah, like Mark said, Trump's bringing in one of his guys, so he's going to have control over whoever's in there. Yeah.
I say I made it through the last time with my head in the sand, my eyes closed just fine. I'll probably make it through this one with my head up and my eyes open.
Yeah, I think we all might pay a little more attention nowadays.
Yeah, and a little sooner to respond.
Yeah, we've been starting to work with a financial planner, and he sent some paperwork the other day, and things have changed for us. We actually have a net worth. It was kind of interesting to see.
That was something greater than negative.
Yeah. So I should be flying high for the next week or so. We'll see.
Mark, how long does it take to get a package to Hawaii from the States?
I think it depends what you're sending. Because I've had stuff get to those guys, Mark and Mikey, within a few days from here, from California.
So 2
I
days.
think what I heard is Frank's buying dinner for all of us at the next ORAD event. That's what I think I heard.
He said positive net worth. He didn't say positive $5 net worth.
Okay, well, it could be McDonald's. That's okay.
Off of Matt's dollar menu. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Denny's is cheap, man. I'll cover 50% of the bill if you're short. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
Has anybody decided to go to BPCon?
We won't be able to go there. You mean in September, October?
Yeah, October.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Curtis mentioned he might try. He was checking out prices and stuff for the trip. I don't know who else might be able to make it. It would be really nice, but can't do that end February. So.
Oh, for sure. Sure, just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, are you planning on going in February?
Yeah, I'll be in February. In fact, that's what I'm gonna go Mark on some sort of something. We'll see what he can come up with next time.
Okay, good.
Well, in regards to Zubers and either new members or people who've never gone before.
Okay.
I want to use Mark to because he's the big mouthpiece that likes the attention and I don't.
All I heard was big mouth.
There we go.
Yeah, we miss you, Mark, even if it doesn't show. Okay, looks like we're at time.
Wrapping up.
Did anybody else have a quick one?
I was just going to ask Frank if there's anything we can do to help Zuber, for the next ORAD. I'd love to support him if that's helpful. I don't know what that is, but I wonder if we should ask him. Like, is there anything we can do to help?
Really quickly on that note, Chris, one of the things, and I know I had mentioned it to like a couple different folks, but what about seeing if we could connect with or try to line up some of the speakers that would show up? I mean, I know it's a little bit of a long shot, but
Interesting.
What do you mean show up?
Like,
can we suggest or help recruit speakers, right, Chester?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you said that would show up. Has anybody not shown up?
No, can we help recruit speakers, right?
Yeah.
Can we give ideas, ideation, and actual recruitment, and so Zuber doesn't have to do it, right, Chester?
Yeah.
Or at least have a say on one of them. Or an input, perhaps.
Or offer him ideas, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are thinking bigger than I was. I was trying to find more comfortable chairs.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my thoughts there was just say we did find a supplier that could bring in more comfortable chairs. Would the blind center be open to letting someone else supply the seating? I guess, that we could all find out in the process, but that was just a thought.
But maybe Frank, just as an engineer, given is there a middle option? Like, what if we found a provider that would just give us cushions, ORAD cushions to some of the chairs, right? The chairs weren't awful, but a little cushioning with an ORAD logo is probably a lot cheaper than a new chair provider or even a rental guy. We could order them from Alibaba, and I don't know, man. And I'm the tariff guy. I can figure out a way to navigate the tariffs and avoid that shit. So who knows, right?
Okay. Well,
memory foam upgrades.
Yep. I like these boys.
You charge extra for that. Little purple pillows.
Definitely. We'll sell those at the door. $11 a pop.
There you go.
Okay. Well,
Mark up to something.
Yeah, it gives us something to think about. Maybe I'll touch base with Jen. She's always got something in the works. Maybe she's already working on more comfortable seating. But
let us know what we can do to help, Frank.
Okay. Yeah, great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd already asked Jen if she could get in touch with a couple of different speakers. Hopefully she's able to come through with one or more of them. But yeah, I think that would be good.
All right. Nice. Well, if you guys think of any topics that might be useful next week, you could just shoot me an email or text message or anything. That'd be great.
Did that.
Mark's in he's trouble tonight.
He's trouble tonight. Oh.
Yeah.
When is he not?
He's not just trouble tonight.
Not just tonight, that's for sure.
Is he home?
Who's marked as trouble?
Mark is trouble. He's trying to be incognito, but we know better.
Oh.
And he's
Trouble is
doing
his
it.
middle name.
And he's doing it all the way from Japan. So
Gotcha.
When
All
is
right.
Trump getting home?
well, hopefully we still have a few more days of peace and quiet. I don't know. I think he comes back Thursday or something. Oh, Monday.
Monday. Making sure packages don't disappear from your doorstep.
Okay, y'all. Thank you so much. I
Thanks,
appreciate you
Frank.
being here.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.